Mrs. Yarrodaber.
Ave Satanas! Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
Greetings, heathens. Welcome to Hail Satan. This is the podcast exploring Satanism, culture, and life in general through the eyes of modern Satanists. My name is Joseph Rose. I'm part of a thriving congregation called Satanic Delco, and we welcome members from anywhere in the world. If you want to learn a little more about that, visit satanicdelco.com. Today, I'm going to catch up with you all and look back at 2024. I will have some special guests joining me for that conversation as well. If you have a moment, please visit the website at hailsatanpodcast.com. You'll find links to join me on social media, a form to send me an email, and a link to join up with the whole gang on Patreon. We have a few different tiers to choose from with various benefits, including the one-of-a-kind Greetings from Hell Satanic Postcard of the Month Club. But aside from that, joining us grants you access to Satanic Delco's private Facebook group, our lively private Discord server, our weekly Zoom gatherings, game nights, movie nights, music Zooms, stickers in the mail, bonus content, roundtable discussions, and much more. If you're interested in being part of an active, thriving satanic community, Satanic Delco is where you'll find it. All right. This episode might be a little all over the place, since maybe we have some catching up to do. In case you haven't noticed, I've not been publishing podcast episodes very regularly. But as members of Satanic Delco can tell you, we're doing the podcast all the time. We talk for hours every week. Sometimes we're just hanging out and talking about 20 different topics, but often enough, someone brings up a Satanism-related topic or question early on in one of our Zoom meetings, and that sends us going on a whole 2-hour discussion. And with a whole bunch of curious and smart Satanists, they turn into pretty great conversations. Typically, they go unrecorded, because they're spontaneous and just part of our normal culture within the group. We were having one of these recently. And while we were winding down toward the tail end of it, I got a text message from Kirsten, who was also in that Zoom meeting. Her message to me said, "Our Zoom chats are so much deeper and more eloquent, well-spoken than any of these other fucking Satan podcasts. So many other Satanists out there in the world want this. They wish they could just find a community to have these deep conversations, and they just don't get it." Those were her words, but I think she's right. I can't comment on what every single group out there has going on, but I can say that I'm extremely thankful for the people that make it happen in Satanic Delco. And speaking of Satanic Delco, let me welcome a few members of the gang to join us for this conversation. You guys know Kirsten. Welcome back to the show, Kirsten.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Next up, we have a dancing machine. His name is Daniel, or Double D as I often call him, joining us from Michigan. Hello, Daniel.
Hi. We'll get to the dancing later, I'm sure.
Fucking right. And last but not least, we have a magical woman whose running routine makes me feel like a real loser. Patience, joining us from New York. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, guys, I have a list of some sort of Satan-related things that happened in 2024. And we can go through this list and see if we care about them at all. We good on that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And this list is in no particular order. We may or may not care about these things. The first one I jotted down was the Xena Shrek interview with Jordan Peterson. Did you guys catch this?
Yes, I caught that.
Catch a lot of the news.
Yeah, Patience, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I watched it, and I felt like it was, bad blood between her and her dad, and it was like, the same story in a different way. She's just trying to get back at her dad. That's my vibes I got from it.
Yes. If you were looking for some valuable Satanism information or anything like that, you're probably not going to get it from this interview. I didn't anyway. Kirsten, did you have any particular feeling about it?
I think that I watched it when it came out, but
Yeah.
it wasn't particularly memorable for me. I'm not as familiar, as others on the entire LeVay family history and stuff.
Yeah. When I saw it posted, I was just surprised that it was even a thing. It sounds very random to me. Jordan Peterson and Xena, who hardly does any kind of media or interviews, particularly about Satanism-related stuff. She doesn't really love talking about that anymore. Of course, Xena Schreck, I guess I should mention, the daughter of Anton LaVey. She married Nicholas Schreck, and if you're deep in the history and culture of the Church of Satan, you know who those characters are. But they're not really important for any current day stuff. It was kind of interesting just to hear her talk about some of those early days. Some of the interview was focused on the early days with Anton and her life growing up, but it was fine. The next one on my list is, this is the exact way I have it written on my list. It says Satanic Super Bowl shit. We had whatever the Super Bowl was, number it was, early in 2024. Afterwards, I remember there being a bunch of news stories and chatter about Satanism happening at the Super Bowl. Do we have any memory of this and specifically what was going on?
Ice Spice or something had
That's right.
that necklace on or something.
Yeah, so I don't know who Ice Spice is, but there was someone named Ice Spice, and they had what appeared to be an inverted cross necklace, and they were making some sort of gesture with their hands. I'm not 100% certain it was an inverted cross. Let's assume it was. I don't know. And I have no idea at all what gesture they were making with their hands. Patience, do you have any idea what any of this is about?
The only memory I have of Super Bowl is the food that I was eating, because I don't watch Super Bowl
Right.
for any other reason except for a chance to eat. So
You just turn it on so that you have an excuse to eat.
yeah.
All right.
And then also she's with Taylor Swift, so that makes even more news that somebody wearing a maybe satanic necklace is standing next to Taylor Swift. So this is our big news of the event.
Yeah, and you say Taylor Swift, which is another way of saying Xena.
Oh yeah,
Xena LaVey, because Taylor
Right.
Swift is Xena if you listen to the internet gossip or conspiracies, because Taylor Swift and Xena
that's right.
look alike. So there was no Satanism at the Super Bowl is what we're saying?
I find that so funny because, I spent a lot of time listening to black metal, and it's like almost every single artist has upside down crosses within their logo and also on every member of the band. And then you go to these concerts and there's people wearing like Jesus is a cunt shirts and shit. It's like, I don't understand how these people could just not know any of that is happening and be so innocent that it's just a plus sign is satanic to them. It's like go out and go to a metal concert.
It
and
is
you're gonna
funny.
see some real shit.
Yeah, that's an indication of the bubble that some of us live in so much of the time. I know we've talked plenty of times about how we've normalized Satanism, obviously, to ourselves. If you're like, hey, here's some Satanism going on, we're like, okay, cool, let me see. But we forget that there's big parts of the rest of the world out there that don't know what's going on. And we're all busy with Satan every day. And there is black metal and satanic music and all this shit going on. But these other people live in a world where if they just see a celebrity wearing red somewhere, they're going to freak out. We also had the Olympics. And the Olympics had their opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
And they had I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the French metal band Gojira?
Yes. And they were playing a cover of a French Revolution era song, Asa-ira. I don't know. Or Ira. And that was obviously a display of Satanism from the Olympics.
Now, there was a bunch of wild imagery going on, right?
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool. I think I remember they were like maybe harnessed on the side of some rock formation.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think there was fire. Yeah. It was a cool. Oh no, it wasn't rock. It was this building. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't remember a rock formation.
No,
I was like, dude, was I stoned?
No. It looks like there's some red confetti coming out.
And it was sort of a patriotic song they were playing.
It was a French Revolution song. There's a lot of red. There is a lot of red.
Yeah.
Which, as you just mentioned, is alarming to some people. So
yeah, that means Satan.
Yes.
Do you guys know about Gojira? Did you catch this, Patience?
Yeah, I saw like the video clips of it. I thought it was super cool and artsy. Yeah.
Did it look explicitly satanic in any way, Daniel? Did you catch any Satan imagery?
No, actually, the whole thing, it was French history. Like, they had the queen holding her own head.
Right.
It's from French history. None of it was satanic. I've seen Gojira live, and throughout the entire set, there was no satanic imagery. And a lot of their songs are actually very uplifting, or they're about, like, pollution, or, like, nice things, you know? None of it is at all satanic.
Yeah, and I'm not intimately familiar with Gojira. They're not a band that really exists with a whole lot of Satan or occult stuff generally, are they?
No.
Okay.
Not even in the slightest.
Yeah. So this was just like the Super Bowl and like so many events that reached the mainstream. There was no Satan. And I guess this is what the newer kids would call the modern satanic panic. You know, this is like the new version of it. Bands play or celebrities wear red and everybody says, "Oh, they're in a satanic cult. We got to put a stop to it." But of course they don't actually do anything to put a stop to it, because how useful would that be? We had some Satan in TV and movies this year. Maybe you guys have a longer list, but the ones that I remembered off the top of my head were the TV series Hysteria. There was the film Late Night with the Devil. Also, Maxine and Longlegs are the ones that jumped out at me. Did you guys see any of this stuff? Did any of them stand out to you?
Yeah, I liked Late Night with the Devil. I thought it was fun how they really did a good job at putting you back at that time period. I think it's like the 70s.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
And then Hysteria, I haven't finished it because I have a lot of problems with how it was making me feel. I was getting like upset and angry, and like when I'm like winding down for the day, like that's the last thing I want to feel.
What were you getting angry about?
I was just getting angry with like how ridiculous the mom was. Like, I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it, but like, you know, and it was making me relive feelings from when I was a younger person. And not that my mom was anywhere close to psycho as this lady. My mom wasn't like that. Yeah. But like, I didn't want to like have to relive that or get a flashback of something like from my past. I just want to sit down and chill at the end of the night. And so that show wasn't allowing me to do that.
Got it. Yeah, I did really enjoy that show. I could nitpick it. It wasn't perfect, but overall it was fun. I like the satanic panic setting of the show. The show's in the 80s. It was in the 80s. Yeah. I liked that. Like, for example, every episode title was the name of a song, and there were lots of musical references and Easter eggs and things throughout the whole series. I think it was only maybe 8 episodes, something like that. It was well done. I could nitpick it. I wish it looked... My biggest complaint was sort of the visual of the show. I wanted it to look more authentically 80s, like a more, I don't know, more of a throwback visually, but it was nice. How about... we mentioned Late Night with the Devil. Kirsten, did you have a feeling about Late Night with the Devil?
I only watched it the one time in theaters, but I thought it was fun. It was... I don't know how to describe it, like a vibey throwback. I wasn't alive for any of the real satanic panic of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But it felt fun to watch. I know why people watched it or were into it back then. I know why it's captivating to an audience for the same reason it is now. You know, people are going to click on those articles about Taylor Swift and Doja Cat and everybody.
I thought it was well done. It was entertaining. I loved the graphics and the whole vibe of that. They nailed it pretty good with that one. And then the others, Kirsten, you and I saw Maxine and Longlegs, but I don't have really detailed memories of those other than I think it was Longlegs. My feeling about that one was, what the hell happened in this movie? Like, just stuff was happening. It was weird. And the explanation was just like, oh, well, it's the devil doing stuff.
I don't know. I liked Long Legs. I think a lot of people didn't. It was controversial. I think that movie was controversial, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Because some people liked it and some people didn't. But I find that I liked it and I didn't have as many complaints about it as a lot of other people did. Maxine was also supposed to be kind of Richard Ramirez esque, the mystery of the Night Stalker kind of person. And
Oh, yeah.
I remember not loving the end of Maxine, but I don't want to get into, spoilers for that.
All right. That's all I had for Satan in TV and movies. And
Also the Jack Black movie.
Oh, yes. Yes. Good call. That's good. They're just recently. Dear Santa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dear Santa came out on what? Paramount Plus. And I did watch it. I watched it recently. I kind of wasn't interested when it came out. When a Satan movie first comes out, I'm like, oh, what is that? And then I saw what it was, and it was like a silly Jack Black family Christmas movie. And the premise is a boy writes his traditional letter to Santa, but he misspells Santa, and it goes to Satan. And that, of course, conjures Satan, and hijinks ensue. And so I wasn't that thrilled about it, but just within the last couple of weeks, I guess, I wanted to wrangle my son into sitting down and watching some sort of movie, a Christmas movie with me. And I told him, there's a new one, Darwin. It's fun. You're going to really like it. It's going to be fun. And I just hoped that it would be. And luckily, I think it passed the Darwin test. He thought it was amusing. And I thought it was a nice family movie. And I mean that sincerely. Like, it was a nice movie. It was kind of fun. It's good for the whole family. There is Satan and Satan's helper and all this, you see a glimpse into hell. There's a lot of devil talk. But despite all of that, it is very family friendly. And I thought it was actually fun. Did you guys watch it?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was cute. I watched it with my nieces and nephews, and it didn't bother them at all. And they go to church quite often. So.
Oh, these are church-going little. How old are these kids?
Well, they're like 7, 13, and 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good mix.
The only thing that they came up with at the end that was like a puzzle that I had to try to figure out how to answer was they said, well, isn't this movie showing you that you can get what you want if you just ask the devil to get it for you? Because at the end, I'm not going to say what happened, but like something comes to fruition.
Right.
And, and I was like, how do I answer this question and still like be their favorite aunt and respect, that was complicated.
Yeah,
But,
not piss off their mom and dad.
Yeah.
Sending them home with a bunch of Satan ideas. Yeah, I thought it was a good one. Other than that stuff, now we can tread lightly on this part, guys. A lot of the Satan news this year, like many years, involves the biggest, most popular satanic thing in the world, I guess, or at least in our country, and that is the Satanic Temple. And there's been a lot of news related to the Satanic Temple throughout the year for various different reasons. So we can quickly mention some of this stuff, and if any of you guys have a feeling or a memory or anything you want to talk about, we can categorize a lot of what happened this year with the Satanic Temple as just TST drama. That's usually the bucket that I throw it in. And I have a brief list. And I did a whole episode that focused on a lot of the drama from this year, so we won't rehash it in any detail. But the end result, basically, is they lost the majority of their ministers this year. Some of them were fired, some of them left. Many congregations that were part of the organization split off and became independent groups. And so I guess that was the biggest sustained drama thing that happened with TST this year. And again, you guys can go back and listen to an episode, I don't know, Drama Club Part 3. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it gets into the details of what happened there.
There's a couple of things that did happen after the TST Drama Club Part 3 episode.
Okay.
A lot more people left than we originally talked about. The mass exodus sort of happened like after that.
Yeah.
But also the other sort of thing stemming from that was or is this kind of ongoing reworking of the TST structure to begin with, which I think is we don't need to talk about too much, but that was like sort of the fallout from that is that TST has been restructuring its relationships between executive ministry and like the general ministry. And
yeah, a lot of the underlying just structure and the way the organization functions, especially as it relates to its ministry and its congregations, is changing. And so a lot of the stuff throughout this last portion of the year has been quiet, like the TST online services and ministry and things like that. But I'm sure they're rebuilding and getting it together in whatever way they're going to. And it will be different. So whether or not the changes will be made public, we don't know. I suspect not, but we'll see what happens. I imagine outward-facing stuff from TST will be sort of business as usual. But when you're in the bubble of the Satan business like we are, then we get interested and learn about it. So I'm sure there will be stories to tell as 2025 moves on. You can't mention TST without mentioning lawsuits, and they had a lot of them. And Kirsten, you keep track of the news and stuff most often. Would it be fair to say, I don't want people to accuse me of being biased, would it be fair or accurate to say that TST lost approximately 100% of all of their legal actions?
What's the school district up in the Lehigh Valley? Did that settle this year? Was it this year or was that last year? So
let's pretend it was this year. I think it might have been, but okay. I don't know either. Well, let's say it was.
Then I wouldn't call that a loss. That was a
there was a settlement.
We didn't get to see, so I wouldn't say 100%.
Right. Okay.
But their Boston lawsuit is over. Their lawsuit against Queer Satanic has been dismissed with prejudice. Completely. I think that's completely over.
I guess the short version is they filed a lot of lawsuits. They continued a lot of lawsuits. They lost a lot of lawsuits. They settled one lawsuit. And yeah, the big one, we can mention the Queer Satanic lawsuit. That's one that was always interesting, and it had dragged on for several years. You may or may not know the story. The very short version is the Satanic Temple for several years was suing 4 of its former Washington members. Why were they suing them? Again, long story. You can go back. It's sort of been talked about, but it's over. So there's that. And we don't have to cover this unless you happen to know something about it, any of you guys. I wrote down on my list Arizona Senate Bill 1279. Kirsten, do you have any idea what that is?
Arizona Senate Bill 1279 was the Reject Escalating Satanism by Preserving Essential Core Traditions bill. Was aimed to ban symbols, statues, or displays that represent or honor Satan from being on public property. There was a similar bill in Iowa around the same time, and I think that they've been proposed before, but they almost always never make it past their the Senate floor or the House floor or whatever. So they get out of committee, and the lawmakers get to put on a big show of being anti-Satanism and being pro-religion. They don't really make it places. And these laws. This is February that these bills were proposed. These are like direct responses to the heading of the TST Iowa display in December of last year. Right. Which I think we spoke about.
Yeah. I guess quickly, as we're sitting here recording this toward the end of December, in the news just currently, the last couple of weeks, has been another year, another set of satanic holiday displays have gone up. And the one is in Iowa, the one we're all talking about now?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. What the hell am I talking about? They put up a mannequin with a Baphomet-style mask on and a sort of robe with a little plaque of the 7 tenets, I think, somewhere near the feet of it on the ground somewhere. And like clockwork, somebody comes along in the night and destroys it, knocks it down, whatever. TST is upset about it, but then they put it back. They get a new version of it, put it back, and I believe it was vandalized again. Predictably vandalized. I suspect as many times as they put it up, it will be vandalized.
Yeah, I haven't kept clicking on every link that I see because I'm not sure. I don't feel like reading to find out if this is just another article reporting on the second time it got knocked down or if there's a new one. There's probably a statue or something. I think I remember seeing something about something being put up in Iowa again, that's the capital, but that's not the statue news. In Iowa, a TST congregation was recently supposed to have an event.
Yes.
Where they were planning to sing satanic carols and hold a Krampus costume contest and have a satanic ritual at the Capitol. And the state canceled the event. And the director of the Department of Administrative Services said that it was canceled due to the apparent inclusion of elements that are harmful to minors. So that's what happened in Iowa recently.
All right. Well, that is the satanic news, I guess, that we remember off the top of our heads. But you get it. Some Satanism happened and some stuff that wasn't even Satanism happened, and people were mad at that anyway. So let's talk about Satanic Delco's year a little bit while I have you all here. 2024 was a somewhat unusual or unique year for our group in the sense that we were kind of self-centered, meaning we didn't do the usual outward-facing charity campaigns and stuff that we usually do. Instead, we just cleaned up and expanded on our internal community culture. And I've mentioned to you guys that I wanted to talk about this community stuff. I get tons of feedback all the time about the podcast and about Satanic Delco. There are plenty of mostly silent or passive members of Satanic Delco. I may never hear from them. They're doing their thing. They check up on what the group is doing whenever they want to, and that is perfectly cool. But often enough, I get these really nice, sincere messages from people. I get messages telling me how important the group is to them, or how much they've enjoyed being a part of it, or any number of really nice, thoughtful sentiments that they share with me. And it's probably no surprise that the people who give me that kind of feedback usually also happen to be the people who participate the most with the group, the people who are active on Discord when they can be, or who offer new ideas for the group, who join in our various Zoom gatherings or come to some in-person events when we have them. And I think everybody here right now fits the description of someone who is pretty engaged with the group. I have a list of some of what Satanic Delco has been up to all year. We can go through that, but I also just wanted to ask you guys what your experience with the group has been like this year. And am I right in thinking that the effort you make to participate in the group is directly tied to how much you benefit from the group? Maybe some of you could speak to that.
I joined Satanic Delco in October of 2023. Yes. And within that year that I joined, I was able to go to the camping trip, and also I went to the masquerade ball. So those two in-person things were really great. But before I even started thinking I was going to do any in-person things, I put a lot of time into getting to know people on the Discord, and that's my main way of interacting with folks, the Discord. I just love how everyone is unique in the group, and I felt really comfortable because I think when I first came into the group, I was coming out of like a hibernation phase of my life, and it really surprised me when I got in the group and how much I was just letting a lot of my inner stuff come out, and the more I wasn't judged and that there was space for me to, like clear out of my mind and heart or whatever, some of the stuff that I was working through, the more like relief that I felt in like getting a chance to figure out who I truly am, and also given the opportunity to just be flawed. And I love that about the group, that people don't jump on you, or, that there's just this general feeling of camaraderie that allows people to just be imperfect and also eccentric. So I like that. I would consider myself like a Unitarian Universalist Selamite with a satanic philosophy, and it's so important to my thelema that I have Satanic Delco, or outsider Satanism, as part of this thing that I'm building within myself, because it creates so much balance. It's really easy for someone like me who is a magical thinker, where I can kind of like live in this alternate reality in my head, and I can easily slip away into my home and create an environment that's exactly the way I need it to be that type of person, and then be completely removed from the reality or rational thinking. And Satanic Delco has really created like this foundation where I have a community that is a rational, sane place that has allowed me to talk about some of the things that I'm interested in, but it still keeps me grounded. So I just really love everything that the group has been able to do in the last, 13 months that I've been part of it.
Yeah. I'm confident that I could speak for just about anyone who's somewhat active in the group in saying that we've all really appreciated your presence in the group, Patience. You've been one of those people that is pretty active in not only just participating, but you suggest things to the group. You've suggested several different projects and ideas, some of them that we've executed already and probably more that we will. I think it really goes both ways. That was the main idea that I'd been thinking about this. And it's such an obvious, simple idea. It's not like I've come to some epiphany or anything, but it's just when I see the people that have really nice things to say about their experience in the group, it usually lines up with people that seemingly have made the effort to insert themselves into the group in an active way.
I'm sorry, but not to discredit everything Patience just said, but Patience is a pretty flawless person, so she wouldn't really know that we provide room for mistakes and whatnot. Although I think we do. I just am,
She's right. She's just speculating.
We keep her grounded because.
Yeah.
Thank you, though.
Yeah, Daniel.
Well, I attached myself a lot to the group because growing up, I never really had a whole lot of like deep, meaningful friendships. And so a lot of the times my friends would all just, fade out of my life. And so eventually when I started getting into Satanism and I've been listening to the podcast, I was like, I want to, reach out and find some community. And I started, with TST. I thought, surely there is this big, vibrant community of Satanists among TST that I can be a part of. And I looked, and I looked, and I looked some more, and there was fucking nothing. In Michigan, we have, I think, 2 TST congregations, and I checked them out, and it was very empty. And I even messaged TST. I asked, what are some events going on? That I can join. And they were like, oh yeah, there's tons of events, multiple events. And there was one and I couldn't even go to it.
Yeah.
So then I reached out, and tried to look into the Church of Satan, and they are very adamant about not having a community, even though they have communities, but it's full of a lot of people on Facebook basically just whining about what isn't and is Satanism.
Yeah.
So, that shit, it wasn't for me either. And so I said, all right, well, Joseph's mentioned this Satanic Delco a few times. And I hopped in, and it was everything I was looking for. Just so many people active, engaging. There was activities to do. We got we have game night, movie night, music Zoom, and then more activities like the in-person events. Like you guys did the Satan camp that I did not get to join. It looked very fun. I wish I was there for that. And then I got my girlfriend and my friend Gracie along. Shout out to Gracie. And we all traveled down to Pennsylvania and did the Dance with the Devil Masquerade Ball, where I fucking danced my ass off with way too many drinks in my system.
Yeah, you were. I was surprised. I didn't know. That was my first time, of course, getting to meet you in person, being from Michigan like you are. Mm-hmm. And so we had a good, a handful of people more that traveled in from different places, including Patience and a bunch of others. And I love to dance. When we do our masquerade ball, I'm dancing. You were witness. I dance. I'm not going to say I do it well, but I do it regardless all night. And sometimes these Satanists, they're a little slow to start. and they're a little, somebody wants to be a little wallflower, but you were not. Pretty early in the night, you were right out there with me, grooving. I was like, oh, look at this motherfucker. He's ready to party tonight. And I was thrilled to see it.
Well, yeah, of course, because, I spent so much time stressing and planning traveling to Philly, to the flights and the outfit and everything. I went all out. So I'm like, why would I go to this event and just stand around like some loser when after spending all that money and putting
some
all
kind of nerd?
I was like, no, this is my one time to shine. I'm not going to be in Pennsylvania again for a long time. So I'm going to put every ounce of energy into it. And I don't think I danced that great, but holy shit, I tried.
Yeah, man, at that point, in that environment, there is no good or bad dancing. It's just either dancing or not. It's just a decision that you make, and I was thrilled to see you partaking in it. And you and I have had brief little chats here and there between us where you've expressed just, generally being into your experience in Satanic Delco, which of course I really love to hear that. It's, and no joke, I'm not going to do it right now. But sometimes when you guys pull me aside, particularly when it happens like in person like that, you'll pull me aside and members have had like really sincere, nice things to say to me. And it's like crazy to hear sometimes, because I don't spend time on my own thinking about the group in that context. I'm just sort of doing it. I'm like, all right, today's Wednesday. What do we got to do today? Let's get to it. Let me make sure I'm doing it as best I can. And you never really can know who it's reaching or what they think of it or if they give a shit about it or whatever, And so when I really get to hear honest feedback from you guys, it really, sometimes I get a little emotional. And it was really great. Several people had fantastic things to say about it all when it came to camp or the masquerade ball. Let me run down a brief list. Some of the stuff that we've been up to this year. We did, as mentioned, our annual Satanic in Nature camping trip, where usually in August, we round up the gang from wherever in the world they are, and we go out to this cool campground, and we have a wild weekend of golf carts and mushrooms and fun activities with one another. We did the Dance with the Devil masquerade ball. I think it was the third time we did that. That was a success, I believe. As you guys have described it, it feels like a success. Every week we do our Monday night Zoom. We've been doing that for like 5 years. We have game nights, which we have experimented with game nights in the past, but patience. You came along and revolutionized our game night. I don't know how or why, it just popped up, and Patience was kind of in charge. And so we've been doing game nights that everybody likes, and I think they're super fucking fun.
And they work.
Yes, they generally do work, but yeah, they're great. More recently, we've started doing music Zooms, which we have a ton of members of the group that really love and want to talk about music a lot. And so someone suggest, probably you, Patience, I don't remember who kicked off Music Zoom, but we've been doing Music Zoom, and we get in there and we talk about music and listen to music and share music, and it's a whole fun time. Of course, we have movie nights. We get in there and vote on movies based on half-assed descriptions, and we watch movies together. We've got the Blasphemous Book Club. Somewhere along the line, Kirsten, you became the book club lady. We usually do some kind of a vote to determine a book, or at least a type of book, and discuss it, and then have a Zoom at the end of the month, and book club is cool. We have some recurring craft nights. We did Halloween craft night.
We make Christmas decorations, or, non-Christmas decorations, some
holiday decorations.
Blasphemous holiday
Yeah.
cheer.
Yeah. And that's something we'll probably keep going now and then throughout the year. We did the 80s themed decades dinner party. Daniel, you were in on this one too at the beginning. We had Daniel, Patience, and maybe some other folks had random ideas where we want to do some kind of a dinner party. And the one that sort of came through so far was a themed dinner where we would get on Zoom, and the person in charge, who this time was Patience, her theme that she chose was the 80s. And so we got on Zoom and began to prepare an 80s themed dinner together, which, whatever that is to you, is what the sort of mission was. If you were alive in the 80s, you could recall, or you could do some research about what the 80s were like. And we got on there and shot the shit and goofed around and then had an 80s themed dinner that was cooked up by some of you guys. Daniel, Patience?
I mostly spent time on my hair, but yeah, I think I made a casserole, and I think Daniel Dean, you should do the next dinner thing because I think you have a lot of great ideas, and I would love to.
I want to.
Yeah, I would love to be part of it.
I need to pick out a theme, though. That's the only thing. I've just been stuck on what theme I want to get. I was thinking maybe something winter. I don't know. I'm brainstorming.
No rush.
Yeah, someone had the idea of like wine and cheese pairings or something like that. I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
I mentioned the wine and cheese because at the time I bought a bunch of wine and cheese and started trying them out, but I didn't know if it would really vibe with everyone. But I could go for that again if everyone's into it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that's guaranteed. It's definitely not going to vibe with everyone. It's absolutely not. Some people will silently probably think, what the fuck? I'm not doing that bullshit. Wine and cheese? I don't give a fuck. But some people will be down and they will throw in and have fun with it and, you know, whatever. The great part is that a Daniel can come along or Patience or Kirsten or anybody and be like, yo, I've got this wacky idea. What if we did this? And, you know, what's the harm? What's the fucking harm? Throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and we could have fun. Either way, if it's a tremendous failure, which, how could it be a failure? Like, what's the worst that could happen? All right, we won't do that exact same thing again, but we could learn from it. In addition, we occasionally do roundtable discussions that sometimes become podcast episodes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I forget to record them, but whatever. We did one that did it become a podcast episode about proselytizing? We were talking about like proselytizing in Satanism or something?
Yes. I remember listening to the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, that one did become a podcast. And I think I mentioned earlier in the show, I haven't been releasing podcast episodes all that often, but we do the podcast all the fucking time. We get on Zoom and talk about Satan stuff or non-Satan stuff, and sometimes somebody asks a question and we talk about it all night long. Like, we've done that multiple times over the last like handful of weeks. There's been more than one occasion where we'd go for 2 hours just on whatever topic is sort of brought up, and that's fun. We did. Oh, yeah, Daniel suggested let's do a tarot talk themed Zoom.
Yeah, and then I couldn't even attend, so we'll have to do another one.
Daniel bailed out. Yeah.
So up to like the very last like hour, we were like, well, who's running it? So I just put some notes together, but it all worked out.
Yeah. And that's the way it goes. But again, it's just one of those things. Like, any member steps up with like, I've got an idea. Do you think we could do a thing like this? You know, some of us would be into it. And why not? Why the fuck? I don't care about tarot. And when I say I don't care, what I mainly mean is I don't know shit about it. I just don't. It's just never been a thing that like I got into. And so I don't even know. It doesn't need to be one of my things. I don't need to be there. I don't need to be running it. The group sort of does stuff.
You know, tarot wasn't my thing either. In fact, neither was a lot of the ritual or any of the magic or really any of that stuff. It's as soon as I joined the community, I'm suddenly exposed to all these ideas, and I started picking up on it and gaining a lot of interest in all these random abstract things that all you lovely Satanists bring to the table. And one of those things happened to be tarot, because we have a lot of members who are very into tarot.
Yeah.
And actually now I have 2 decks and I want to get some more. And it's actually really fun to play around with.
Yeah, Patience is going to have, by the end of 25, Patience is going to have people just casting magical spells and shit all over the place, pulling cards and who knows what.
We already are, because we're writing words, and words are magic.
Exactly. I'm embracing it more and more. Everybody knows I'm pretty, outspoken about I'm Mr. Serious Grounded Guy and I don't fuck around with this woo bullshit. But I more and more and more am seeking and finding and embracing the magic in real life, what I call magic, and 25, we will definitely be talking more about that because I have had bits to say about it and I've been working on them. So we will talk about that more for sure.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe you should make a podcast episode about magic and Satanism. And it's
I am. I'm trying, Daniel. I'm working on it. Well, I am. I am. Magic is a part, wonder specifically, but that's magic. I consider that to be an important part of what I feel when I'm writing about outsider Satanism. And so I know it's taken me forever, and I do get messages saying, what's up with the fucking give us some outsider Satanism stuff? And I'm thankful for those messages. I'm really glad that people are interested in following along, and I am taking it seriously, and I am working on it, and I promise you will see some stuff in 25. I promise. Right now in Satanic Delco, we are gearing up just in a day or so. We're gearing up for our annual Undercover Krampus holiday gift exchange. This is our Secret Santa vibe. That's exciting. We've got a whole bunch of people swapping gifts all through the country and the world. We have members participating in the gift exchange that are in multiple other countries. So that's a lot of fun. What else? Local folks get to do the occasional dinner date. We go out and have dinner and just chat. We did that recently. Sometimes it's a brunch. Sometimes it's a breakfast. We've done all of those things. This year, we did a new one. We met up out at a baseball game. You don't often catch me at a fucking baseball game, but not going to lie, I had fun. Kirsten, where did we even go? We went to some kind of a minor league baseball game?
Yes, we went to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs game.
Yeah.
In Allentown.
It was fun.
Philly's AAA affiliate.
All right. Yeah, it was a pretty low-key environment. I don't know. It was nice. The ballpark was fun. The mascots were a lot of fun. What did they have? The running? What was it called? The running of the something dumb?
I don't know what they were there.
Yeah.
But they always have. I mean, they have them at some major league games too, but minor league baseball games are usually a lot of fun. There's a lot of silly stuff happening.
Yeah, it was wacky. And some of us are gearing up for a weekend at a magical place called Stoner Mountain. And when we arrive there, in addition to some other fun hijinks, a group of us will be doing some freezing snow tubing at a mountain in a winter wonderland that I might regret in the middle of it, but I bet it's going to be fun.
Do they have like a warming lodge or something?
I think so. I think there is. I think we will be encountering fire pits and surely some warm drinks. And when we get finished tubing, we will make our way back to our home base up at Stoner Mountain, and we have a wonderful fire deep in a beautiful conversation pit that we will make full use of, and it's going to be a great, cozy weekend. What else? I don't know. We do all the stuff online. We have our Discord. We keep track of our New Year's resolutions, and we try to encourage one another. We do lots of random Satan and life talk. We have channels where we talk about sex, music, drugs, parenting, crafts, pictures of our butts, whatever. If you're into a thing, we've probably got a channel for your interest. What have I missed, guys?
We're doing a card exchange, some of us. It's
been
fun getting cards. I got a card from the Netherlands. That was really cool.
Yes. A holiday greeting card exchange.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing. You got a card from the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's not right in front of me, so I don't remember the sentence. So sorry. I have so many people on the list.
I just got...
many people.
No. I also just got mail from the Netherlands, and it was 2 human skulls. But, all right, that's my business. What else? Anything else? Is there anything else we need to mention? I know we're singing the praises of Satanic Delco, but if we're being fair and honest, it deserves it.
There's a couple roundtable discussion topics. We did roundtables. You mentioned proselytizing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did them on Satanic Panic 2.0.
We did.
I can't remember if we did one on politics and Satanism, like generally, or if we just talked about maybe doing one. I think we did one on the 9 satanic statements. That might have been the one that Punker ate.
Oh, guys, let me tell you about this. I planned a nice roundtable discussion. You know, we've done a bunch. We've gone through the 7 tenets. We talked about all kind of Satan stuff. And we hadn't done a roundtable discussion specifically about the 9 satanic statements by Anton LaVey. And so I gathered up everybody and we talked about it for a couple of hours. And I felt fine about it. I was like, this was a whole discussion. I'm going to have to sit down and edit it. It'll make a nice podcast. My little fucking dog, Donnie, is a genius, and he would never eat a memory card. But this little punker is his name, appropriately so, he thought he should make his way up to my table and find my memory card and take it out into the backyard and chew on it for a while. And he did. And needless to say, my podcast discussion was gone, eaten by this little dog. And I killed the dog, and he's no longer with us because of that. Unfortunate. Just kidding, guys. Punker is fine. I was just upset that he ate my podcast, but he's fine. And I think he's maturing. He's a little older now. He is a young dog, but it was very sad. What else, Daniel Dean? What else am I missing?
You know, I want to say, if you want to better understand why I think so many people like me or patients engage so heavily with the community, is because a lot of people want something that they can say, I represent this. This is my team. These are my people.
Sure.
You know? And like for some people, it's whatever their state's football team or, you know, their local church group, or, you know, for some of us, it's the embodiment of sin, adversary of God, you know?
Yeah.
To each his own.
That's
why I got it tattooed on my arm when we were at the.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even mention this.
Ball.
We didn't even mention this. Daniel, the madman. This guy comes down here, brings his girlfriend and a friend along all the way from Michigan for the masquerade ball. That was the purpose of everybody coming to town. And was it before? It was after the masquerade ball, right? It was the next day?
Yes.
The next day. The masquerade ball's on a Friday evening. Saturday comes around. We plan to hang out and romp around the city. So we're doing that. But at one point, a couple of the group break off, including Daniel. They're going to go get some tattoos. And I guess they'd had it planned, or maybe not even. And then
it was on a whim.
A very a short-term plan. Like, hey, in 5 minutes, let's get a tattoo. And then Daniel shows back up later with the group with the fucking full Satanic Delco logo tattooed, bold, right on the side of his bicep, shoulder area there. I'm looking at it right now on Zoom. He's got it. And it is a beautiful tattoo. And I'm proud of it. And you're a wild man.
Well, it's because, I don't know, it's your group. It really made me emotional. It touched me deeply in a way that not a lot of things in my life really have. So I felt like I needed to pay some kind of tribute to you. Plus, it's really funny watching you get emotional.
It is. It is. I'm glad people don't get to see it very often.
And when I showed you that tattoo, we were doing bowling where fucking Eric dominated everybody.
Yeah, we had some fun bowling. It was good.
Eric, you are just a master at bowling.
Yeah, Eric came in from where? Ohio. Eric came in from Ohio. He dominated at bowling. He likes to dominate at game night. Eric likes to come in and just kick people's asses at shit. Yeah.
And be the nicest person ever while he's doing it.
He's a nice guy. Gotta like Eric.
It's so funny. He kept like falling on his ass and then still getting strikes every time.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, his bowling, but it was effective. And that's what counts, you know? He was knocking pins down, and that's all that matters.
Ashley made a nice trophy, too. I believe it's Ashley, correct?
Ashley, the sweetest Ashley. You know, one day, it's shocking that Ashley has never been on the podcast, because she's probably horrified to be on the podcast because she is shy and doesn't want to be put out there sometimes. But she is the best. She's been in the group since nearly its very beginning. She's one of our longest running members. And she often puts herself in charge of making us beautiful crafts, beautiful trophies and awards. I have one sitting right behind me right now on a shelf that I won. Yeah, Ashley's fantastic. Hello, Ashley. Patience, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to what Daniel was saying earlier about, why we want to be involved in the community and the adversary role and whatnot. And the thing with me is that I felt like I was, kind of born into the adversary role within the framework of my family or whatnot, because not necessarily because early on I didn't go along with their ideas, but I just, like that black sheep feeling. There's things in your family dynamic, like a lot of families have like that one person or whatever. And that's kind of what I had. But
Yeah.
I always had this curiosity, like, because if your parents tell you like this is something you have to not like or fear, I always wanted to know more about that type of stuff. So like being a part of Satanic Delco, like taking the step to join, and that was like my first chance to really conquer this fear that I had embedded about like what Satan was and whatnot. And then it was like a self-discovery and a more of my own independent journey. And it just so happened to be being independent and losing a lot of those fears came through joining a community. And the thing that is the most like mind-boggling to me is that when I was in a Christian home and embedded in a Christian community, there wasn't a lot of community. Like it was a lot of backstabbing, and like it just was a lot of like pettiness and people trying to one up each other on like who knew more about the Bible. And like it was all polished to be like the presentation as like we're a community, but it just didn't have community vibes. And the thing, that my mom said, this is dangerous or stay away from this type of thing, Satanism. Well, this particular type of Satanism she didn't know about, of course, but
Right.
just whatever she thought Satanism was. And then as I'm, getting involved in it, I'm like, it's everything like you would want if you're a Christian, that everything you would want in your community is here. I just wanted to say that it's just so weird that I found all the things that as a Christian I was looking for in Satan, in the Satan community. So
yeah, that's probably true for a good amount of people. People often seek out or participate in religion generally, I think, for community. At least that's a part of it, especially if you're raised where religion is a big part of your life. Like if that's a real big factor in your family and the way you grow up, then that is part of your sense of community. And yeah, it is kind of fun that you would find it in the exact fucking opposite direction that they were trying to give it to you. I like it. Daniel.
What's so nice about this community too is that all those people who grew up feeling like a black sheep or who have religious trauma, real trauma, this is a safe place, a sanctuary for them where they can talk about these things without being judged or people coming at them for even mentioning anything relating to Satanism. Here's your place to talk about all of that.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who have gone through some really serious trauma here, and this is a place to talk about it.
Yeah.
And what a relief that you don't even actually worship Satan. So it's like everything that's great.
Yeah, without the baloney.
Yeah, with that. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, and I was even just thinking when you were talking, Daniel, in addition, we have a lot of people, if you spend time like just interacting with Satanism for a little while anywhere on the internet, you're going to run into different perspectives about Satanism, different opinions, different sources of Satanism, different opinions, and all of that stuff. And those conversations can go a number of different ways. And I obviously am biased, you know what I mean? I'm the guy that does Satanic Delco. But I see the way those conversations go in a lot of different places, and I like the way they go with the people in Satanic Delco. I mean, we have people with a lot of varied, different opinions and feelings about Satanism. Their Satanism is different than their Satanism and theirs. And we talk about that stuff pretty out in the open, and we do it on Zoom, we do it on Discord, we do it everywhere. And I don't know, there's just never a case where I see somebody being like, this fucking asshole, why don't you shut up with your dumb Satanism? That's not Satanism. We just don't do that. And that's been part of our culture in the group. And I think it just makes for a better environment. I'd rather have it the way we do it than pretty much any other way that I have witnessed anywhere else.
Yeah. that's what's great about being in this group is like there's no gatekeeper saying like you have to believe this. You don't have to conform. It's like the best group to be so unconforming. Like you can be anything that you want to be, and it's gonna work.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of gatekeeping. I'd say if you have some really outlandish stuff, like if we had some Order of the Nine Angles or something come in here talk about some Nazi shit, they're gonna get kicked out pretty fast.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of variety.
We have the idea of Satanism, which is a real vague thing, in common. It's hardly a starting point. It's a tip of a tremendous iceberg. And that's enough to just get a foot in the door. And once you get in the door is where you can really explore all these things. And we do, I think, benefit from learning about each other's beliefs, even if we're never going to adopt those beliefs as our own. And the more obvious thing that everybody has in common is that they all wanted to be in that place. Whatever I've ever said on a podcast or on a little video or social media or something to somebody out there that made them curious or interested enough to join Satanic Delco, that's the thing that everybody had in common. Whatever they find inside or whatever they make of it themselves is up to them. It really, you don't have to agree with much of the shit that I've ever said on a podcast, because we have plenty of people who I'm certain disagree with me on a ton of stuff, and whatever, that's fine, you know? But all right, I'm glad to have you guys in Satanic Delco. And Kirsten, what have we missed? Is there anything you would like to add?
As you all were talking, I was thinking about how Patience and Double D exemplify some of the things that I think are important, and like part of what you mentioned, Joseph, like making the most out of the group, like the people that put the effort in to engage with the group get the most out of the group.
The reason or the thing that sparked this conversation in the first place was when a person leaves our group, if someone cancels their membership, the Patreon website offers them an exit survey. It asks them, okay, you're canceling this membership. Why are you canceling? And it gives them some default reasons that they can choose from, or they can write their own. And I looked at it one day, and most people don't write a reason, or they just say like, you know, whatever, my situation has changed. But one response jumped out at me, and I was in shock. It said, the group just wasn't active enough for me. And I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know how anyone could join this group and have the impression that we weren't active enough. Because if there's one fucking thing we are, it's pretty fucking active with not only day-to-day discussion, but just stuff, you know, all the stuff we've been talking about. And so that was the thing that got me. I was like, we're not active enough? Like, that person left with the feeling that we weren't active enough. And to me, that means they just weren't aware somehow. I don't know how, but they somehow weren't aware of the 9 million fucking things that we were doing. And so that got me thinking of like, that person probably would, if somebody asked them one day, like, oh, have you ever been in a group? What do you know about Satanic Delco? They would probably say, yeah, I didn't really like it. They weren't really active. And that is just so different than the impression that other people would get that really choose to participate. But anyway, that just reminded me of that, because that's what sparked this entire topic in my mind. Go ahead, Kirsten.
There's this idea of exclusivity being actually important. You know, we have a little bit of exclusivity in Satanic Delco in that the people that are in our group want to be in our group, right? You have to take steps to join. It's not just,
Right.
you know, no one, you can't just pop into a server and check it out and then it's there if you want to pop in. Like, you are by joining the group, you say you want to be here. But after that step, after that little bit of exclusivity, we don't want to be exclusive. We want everybody to be able to come to our Zooms, to have a conversation, to join a roundtable, to be a part of the book club, to have a chance to share their opinion on, you know, a regular Zoom or a music Zoom or whatever. And don't want to place that barrier of saying only 5 people can be in our book club. But that just means that it's on you, like the group member, the book club member, or the Zoom participant, to treat it as essential for you to be there. Because there's a little bit of a bystander effect that can happen when there's 300 people in a group, that if 300 people are like hoping other people put in the effort to making the group something, to making, starting a conversation, they can just sit back and listen and get they can like listen to it like it's a podcast. They can read posts that people say, but they don't have to participate. But that's just not how groups work, right? You have to participate to create the thing that you want it to be. And there's another element of exclusivity that we do sort of have it in some way. Still, like I said, we have a little bit of exclusivity, and that is, it's sort of a part of making a group feel like it is, more intimate, and people are a little bit more able to become a little more comfortable with the group because there's just a slight barrier to entry for our group.
I think having the barrier to entry is one of the biggest like initial steps that makes our group good. I mean, it just is. It's like you said, it just makes the people that are here the people that really want to be here and want to like get the most out of the experience, for the most part. I think that's true. Go ahead, Daniel.
Something Kirsten said reminded me of this. It's nice that there's not a lot of pressure to engage. It's completely voluntary. It's encouraged, but if you need to take a break or you're going through some kind of like burnout, you can totally sit back and just read all the posts and just relax. And we've had a lot of people do that, and then they'll come in and be a lot more active later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people take a while to warm up, and that's totally cool. Some people just pop in like, guys, I'm here. My name is Jim, and let's fucking go. And they do it. They just sort of jump in, and that's fantastic. Other people are like, hi, I'm on Zoom for the first time. I've been a member for 2.5 years, and I never said anything before today. Hi. And I've had that happen. Actually, at our masquerade ball, I met the single longest running member of Satanic Delco. She's been a member of our group since basically the moment it existed on the internet. She joined, and she is local. She lives probably 10 or 12 minutes from me and has lived there the whole time. She has never been on a Zoom. She's never been to an event. I don't think she's ever posted on Discord. I don't know that she's ever posted anywhere. And we've never met or anything until the fucking masquerade ball. She showed up at the masquerade ball looking fantastic, fully decked out, masquerade, dress and everything, and had a great time. And we've chatted a bunch. We've chatted a bunch since then. And it was great. It took her 5 years of being in the group to come out and show up to a thing. And I was super happy to meet her there finally. So maybe we'll get her out to one before 5 more years from now.
Another is coming prepared to things. We have Zooms that have very specific purposes to talk about very specific things. And then we have a more casual Monday night Zoom in which sometimes we have a purpose. Sometimes we do want to discuss a specific thing. And we try to announce that ahead of time so that people can prepare if they want. But sometimes we just have regular hop on and see how everyone's doing that day. What did you do? Or what kind of things do you guys want to talk about that are Satan related? Right now, our Monday night Zooms, we've been having I think this year, a lot of deep satanic conversation. And we've always had that to some extent, but I really felt like this year there was just a lot of, maybe more often, that people wanted to explore certain things within their Satanism or certain events in their life in the context of Satanism and how Satanism affects them. And we've had these great, longer conversations, either for a specific person or for the benefit of the group, that I think people really look for a lot in when they enter Satanism. There's some people that just want community, but there's also a lot of people that really want to discuss Satanism. And there's places you can go and talk, and you ask a question, and people will say, "Read the wiki" or whatever, whatever. Like we don't need to talk about that again. But our Monday night Zooms lately we've been having some of those discussions, those maybe read the wiki type discussions, but also some that are a lot more niche than just those entry level satanic discussions. And we have people that contribute thoughtful and unique perspectives, and they are the kind of conversation that I think a lot of people are looking for, in the Satan sphere.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Like
And
there was, saying like when she was talking about what's good about Satanism, like, or like what you liked about Satanism, I remember you said, and it's been brought up quite a bit because people relate that it's just basically so much damn fun. It's so fun to hang out with you guys in person and on the Zoom.
yeah, it's very rare. I mean, sometimes on Zoom we can get into like a serious or heavy topic of discussion, which is great that we can do that. But often enough, we are having fun. We're talking about whatever, something in someone's life, or what's new, what are we getting into now, or some Satan shit. Or I always make it a habit of trying to like get people to tell stories about their own life to see what everybody's up to and what they're about. And that's really, the Discord is great because like you said, we have like real-time interaction, pretty much. But when we get into the Monday night Zoom, also the music Zoom and game night and all the other little things we do, that to me is where the community really blossoms in a human kind of way. That's where we're not there just to be like, okay, what are the satanic statements again? What are the fucking 7 tenets? We're there to like interact with people and express our Satanism, which is supposed to be about real life. Satanism isn't like a fucking book you're supposed to read. It's a life you live. It describes a worldview, for a lot of us. And it's also just fun to get in there and be able to be yourself amongst a group of people. And sometimes, there are people that are shy or have anxiety or they're a little just tentative to really throw themselves into a Zoom or a conversation. But it also has the freeing nature of the fact that at first everyone is a stranger. So maybe that's scary for some people, but really those people don't know you and they have no expectations of you. So you're not shackled to those expectations. You don't have to be the thing that Aunt Susan always expects you to be because we don't know you. We don't have any expectations. So what you tell us you are, that's what you are now. Whatever name you tell us, that's probably what we're going to call you. Whatever thing you're into, that's what we're going to know about you. And you have the power to control the group to a degree. You can suggest a thing that we've never done that you're into. And just by having it suggested, now we know that that's a thing that some people might want. And we'll probably try it. Unless it's some real off-the-wall shit. I'm pretty open. But all right. Kirsten, have you expressed yourself?
Yes.
All right. Daniel, Kirsten, Patience, thank you guys for joining me. We will wrap it up.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
If you haven't joined up with us yet, please visit the website at hailsatanpodcast.com. Stay safe out there, and hail Satan.
Snowlaben och skydden efter. Det går fri i sig.